could be making history. Through the fire, on the water, used to be a slave, but now you are a conqueror.
They can take my heart, they can take my breath when they bite from my cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up, heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up, heart is beating faster, feels like thunder, magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up, it's our resistance, you can't resist us. We're rising up, rising up, we're rising up, rising up, we're rising up. This is how we rise up, it's our resistance, you can't resist us. This is how we rise up, heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up, heart is beating faster, feels like thunder, magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up, it's our resistance, you can't resist us.
And welcome everyone to another episode of Straight Talk with Joe Vollano. I know we're starting a little late here today. It's 8 o'clock on the East Coast. So, we had a lot going on over the last couple hours. We had 3 debates that just wrapped up. We had at 5 o'clock, we had Area 4's debate, which we'll get into. And then 6 o'clock, we had the mayor's race, which very interested to talk about. And then we just finished up with the at-large, which I thought was quite interesting, some of the comments that were given out. And we're going to tackle some of those this evening. But again, just for formalities, let me first of all get my picture up on the screen. There I am. And as always, I am Joe Vollano. If you're new to the show, I am your host and guiding light through all the craziness that's going on. And I tell you what, tonight, we heard a lot of BS flying around. And we're going to get into some of the things that were said. And sometimes I just wonder where the hell these people are coming from. I don't know what parallel universe they're living in, but we're going to get into some crazy things that were said. As always, this show always works best when you are involved in it. So if you want to call in, 203-679-9610, or you can email us at straighttalkjv@gmail.com. If you give me a second here, I'm running a little late because we were just finished up. Let me pull up the chat. If you're on YouTube or if you're on Facebook, you could always join the chat, which is always alive and well. It's always some good stuff going on. So, for some reason, it wants to make it smaller than what it actually is. So we're just going to leave it at that. And if we have some time, we're going to get into some of the articles in the paper that I saw that I found quite interesting, especially in regards to the CRB and how Democrats are actually trying to paint themselves as pro-police, even though anyone who knows and who's paying, and this is the key, anyone who's been paying attention understands that that Democrats are absolutely nowhere on board of being pro-police. And if Bruce Fontanella said it best, it looks like they just did nothing but try to pay off the police department so they'll go away and then backstab them as soon as this election is over. I guess that is the strategy they are using. Because each and every one of them said, oh, we're giving the police department everything they need. We fixed their contract, this and that. So the police department should be good. We're all for the police, but we're going to hold off on this whole CRB thing until after the election's over so that once the people are bamboozled by what we're saying, we're going to go ahead and give it to them right up to you-know-what. So that is the Democrat plan. They have said it, so it is out there. So it is now our job to make sure that we combat it. So, again, it takes everybody that's on this show, everyone that's in the audience, your circle of influence, make sure you are making them aware of what Democrats are saying and exactly what the Democrats are doing. And that's the key thing, what they are doing, other than living in a parallel universe, because it's very strange. But we're going to be joined by a couple people as we go through the show. I know I have Dan on the other side. If Dan just wants to throw on his headphones for me. We have Mr. Dan Zabrowski who's going to be joining us in a couple minutes because I tell you what, like I said, just listening to that debate just now, I wonder, Dan, maybe you could explain it a little bit better to me. I don't know what the hell they were talking about when they were saying they're pro-police. I guess is that really the strategy, just to buy off the police department and hope that that everybody just forgets about what they've been saying and doing for the last year and a half? Yeah, get up to the microphone there.
In regards to,
You can pull it up. Pull the microphone up. There you go.
if BS was electricity, this city would be a powerhouse. We would be like Wallingford. We'd have our own electric company. But the sad part is, this whole thing, and I said from the get-go, when they said we are going to table it indefinitely, guess what? It's just basically for that. And as I said on my Record Journal podcast, here we have a chief of police that came in here with 1 year experience. He was one of the 3 distinguished chief of police officers within 169 municipalities in the city of Meriden.
He better watch out. He got an award. He's one of the top 3. He might get a raise. He might be fired in another couple of weeks. If the city council has taught us anything, is that you could be doing a terrific job, but if you go against them, they will throw you on your ass faster than you came in. So Chief Rosado, love him. He better watch out though, because this whole CRB thing. Listen, I gotta imagine down at the police department, they're like, someone's going to explode. I don't know who it is, but someone's just going to say, do you know what? Screw it. I've had enough of this. This is what's really going on with the city council. They've had plenty of meetings. I don't know where Sonia Jelks thinks that a couple more meetings. And if you read the article, if you read the article on the Record Journal, they were saying, well, no, we just need to have more meetings with the chief. It's like the chief already told you no. It's like, is this the way it goes? Listen, chief, we want to do a CRB. No. Now, chief, we want to do our CRB. No. How many times does he have to say no before the guy scafe him? And I guess that's going to be an adjective now. They're going to guy scafe him. And they're going to say, hey, listen, you know what? You're part of the problem now. You're not on board with us and our social justice warriors, so therefore you're going to be out the door.
The sad part is our city manager was in the safety of the state police department. There's a man that should know. But you have yet to hear him say he is doing a good job. Where do we go?
Listen, I think the chief has done a tremendous job since he's been here. I think he is doing the right thing, working with our state and federal partners. I've been saying that for years. When it comes to gang violence and it comes, we had another freaking bank robbery yesterday. What's that? The 3rd one in like a month? Listen, there's no consequences. If you want to do crime, hell, apparently just come to Meriden because they're all about it. They're not going to punish you. And then if you do get caught, don't worry. The state and the federal government, they're just going to let you out anyways. Don't worry about it. It's a nonviolent crime, just as long as you don't do it with a gun. Don't go in there with a gun. You go in there with a gun, you're screwed. Just go there with a note, and you're good. That seems to be the way it's going now. There is no, I think Ray said it best. Without public safety, what do you have?
Exactly.
You have lawlessness. You have bank robberies almost on a monthly basis. You have people trying to, literally ripping out ATMs out of a store on East Main Street. I mean, are you kidding me? You would have never thought this stuff was going to be possible. It's just complete chaos, and I'm listening to the Democrats sit there and pat themselves on the back, and I'm trying to figure out what the hell are they patting themselves on the back for?
What did they find in this whole concept of the CRB? Nothing. As I attended every meeting, told him, here, why are we doing this? You had the chief give his information, the IA officers, Manone gave his, the president of the union gave his speech in regards to everything that's going on in the city of Meriden, and they're doing their best, and believe me, they're doing their best. The rowdiness and the lawlessness in the city of Meriden has gone rampant.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely crazy. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to adjust the camera here as it seems to be cutting off the top of my head. Mike, if you just push it down, it will actually bring it up. There. All right, well, they're working on that. We're going to continue our conversation because we got so much to cover. Again, and then you had Chad Cardillo. Again, I don't know Chad. I know my son has him for in school. I know he's a teacher, and my son loves him. So kudos to Chad Cardillo that he is apparently a good teacher. And I like him to focus on that, and I wish he'd stay focused on education because his politics suck. So, but like I said, he's a good all-around teacher, which I like. I think the Board of Ed has done again, and the Board of Ed debates tomorrow night. And I think that's going to be a terrific debate because I'm sure all sorts of crazy stuff's going to be coming up. I'm hoping critical race theory is brought up because I think that's something that needs to be brought out into the open, and I think that needs to have a discussion. But again, I give kudos to the Board of Ed, who I try to stay out of because I don't think politics belongs in the Board of Ed, even though lately, from what I've been reading, I find myself more and more attacking Board of Ed, trying to figure out what the hell is actually really going on in some of these things, especially when it comes to some of their assistant principals acting like they're administrators and trying to set policy, which blows my mind. But that's for another story. And
I thought you brought out a good point the other night at the meeting in regards to the steering committee.
Yeah.
Supposedly, we knew nothing about these outdoor buildings they were going to build.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that with Board of Ed, hopefully on Sunday. I still do have issues with how that all those projects came forward. I don't like the fact there was no transparency to it. The fact that I didn't see any meetings for PTO and parents to get involved in what was going on. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they have been there. It's something that we are going to discuss on Sunday because I think it is extremely important. You're talking about $26 million. And again, $26 million is a lot of money. And every time I turn around, I'm being accosted by someone that loves our schools, which I love our schools because 2 of my kids go there, that we're not giving enough money to the school. And again, we spend over $208 million in education in the city. And again, I think someone brought it up during the debate. The issue that we have is not that we can't just throw money at a problem. And the problem isn't that our teachers aren't good. It's the fact that we have too many kids in the school system that's overcost. So we talk about what they're saying we're 167 or 167 or 169 in tax dollars per pupil. But they also don't realize that we have so much affordable housing in this city. 18% of all housing is affordable housing. Affordable housing brings social services, and social services is education. So they're dumping more and more kids into the system that the taxpayers just can't afford. And that's really the bottom line. So yes, when they sit there and talk about the city has been flat funded for 12 years, sure. But that's why the state and the federal government has, again, issued these funds to help balance their budgets, which I agree with. They should. If we're going to sit there and take on the burden of affordable housing, which comes with students, then they should pay for part of their education. And I'm for that. So again, every year I'm always beat up on, I don't like the Board of Ed, I don't like education. That's the farthest thing from the truth. But at the same time, Dan Brunet said it right. We get alliance grants because we're the distressed community. We're a distressed community because of what Democrats have done to our city over the last 38 years. That's why we're distressed. So again, it's just one more point on why. Why the hell would you vote for a Democrat? But again, these are the things that people don't understand, and they hear that we're flat funded and we don't do anything. And again, it's the furthest thing from the truth. And it is what it is, and we'll have that discussion hopefully on Sunday where we could get into more depth in it, and hopefully we'll have Robbie or someone on. So, but again, to sit there and say we're spending less per pupil as a city, yes, but not as a whole. We spend $208 million over $208 million on education for this city. And that's not including the buildings. Remember, the city owns the buildings. The Board of Education does not. So we have to pay for that too.
Going back to Penrose and McLeod, when we tore down the mills, said, we're just going to put X amount. We have doubled.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we took down 230 something, and we built like 512 or something. So, I mean, again, how much do you want the taxpayers to burden?
Exactly.
The taxpayers can only take so much. So, and again, they're going to get a reval. And their taxes on their residential property are going to go up again. So, Dan, you got to get a little bit closer to that mic. Pull that mic all the way up to your mouth. There you go, because some people are having a little time hearing you. So Bob Williams did a tremendous job today. And again, we're talking about, he was talking about having two different budgets, which is amazing because I don't know how Ken Morgan, who is the Democrat running for Area 4, thinks that we can have two separate budgets. We're going to have a city budget, and then we're going to have a fire department budget. Where in the charter do you see that being allowed? The city council votes on a budget as one whole. We don't do it in separate pieces because this would be the first thing I would say would be a legal challenge. The fire department needs money from this account to that account. So from the police department to the fire department, we're going to transfer funds. Or even better, the emergency dispatch center. Oh. The emergency dispatch center now has to give funds from the emergency dispatch center to the fire department because they're helping out. You can't do that. You can't do that under that type of budget because that is a totally separate budget. You can't. It's against the law. And I don't know how no one has called them out on this.
He thinks it's Christmas. Sugar plums and fairies dancing in his head.
Well, I mean, remember when he was acting city manager, he wanted to do both. He wanted to do his job and the city manager's job. It's like, come on, man. It's like, how much power do you really need? How much power do you seek? And of course, if you sit there and you question him about it, forget it. His supporters have a fit. I mean, I remember the police had to rip his wife away from me because she wanted to friggin' beat me in the hallway of the city council. It's like, come on. It's like what are we doing here? We're talking about transparency. We're talking about trying to build ethics in City Hall, and then they want to pull crap like this. It's just amazing to me that this is the type of stuff that happens.
That Julia Berdelsky case is a perfect example.
Well, that's when I knew he was just a pawn for the Democrats. Yeah. When he brought Juliet back, I mean, come on. That had to be the worst decision you could have ever made. And then she left anyways because she took a nice cushion job down in Essex.
Exactly.
You know, her job was done. You know, and for those who don't know, her husband was college roommates with Penrose, the owner of Penrose, who got the development for 24 Colony Street and everything else down there.
But nobody was supposed to know that.
Well, of course nobody was supposed to know that. But of course we know that.
Yes.
So come on. And all of a sudden that project is done and she kicks out down to Essex? Really? Come on.
And what is she doing down in Essex?
Who cares?
She is repurposing the same buildings which we said in the city of Meriden, why don't we retrofit these buildings instead of knocking them down? Listen,
I still think at the end of the day, Meriden is going to turn into Derby. I'm afraid for it. I know it's going to happen at some point. It's going to come to that it's going to be no other option. And anyone who does not know what I'm talking about, go back to 2006, look up Derby, Connecticut, downtown revitalization, and look what happened. The city took it over by eminent domain to give over to a private developer who then turned around and said, you know what? When put out the new plans, like, yeah, this isn't cost effective for us, so we're just not going to do it. Kicked all these businesses out, knocked down the buildings, and now it's just left empty. Left empty. Now, us, we're geniuses here in Meriden. We actually build it, give you 80% tax abatements, and then let you leave it empty. So, I mean, come on. And the taxpayers must love that.
And only two businesses in all those buildings that could be filled.
Listen, I mean, I said it, I'll say it 1,000 times. You cannot revitalize an area based off of affordable housing. Atlanta, and I said this 2015, Atlanta tried it. It failed miserably. It just does not happen. You just can't do it. It just doesn't make any sense, any economic sense. When you don't have disposable income, you can't bring businesses in. And if you can't bring businesses in, how can you call it a revitalization? You can't. It's just a failure. And again, the Democrats have failed so miserably in this opportunity that the only option we now have is to work outside in. And you look at the east side. They were praising the east side. Of course, the east side is thriving. Look at the statistics of it. You have the highway there, easy on, easy off, and then you have disposable income because the income in that part of town is so much higher than what it is downtown. It's not rocket science. And if the Democrats just stood back and just took one step back and stopped looking at with wide eyes all this grant money and all these, little bonuses coming back their way, they would understand that. But the problem is the voters aren't being informed. And again, and I'll give it to Area 1. Area 1 being run by Nabertos and Gonzalez. He's down there. He's down there making sure people are understanding in Area 1 what the hell is going on. because, I mean, no one's talked to them for years. And I'll blame Republicans for that too. We haven't gone down to Willow Street. We haven't gone down to Pleasant Street. We haven't gone down to Hanover Towers. We haven't gone to these places to talk to the people. And I'll put that blame on us. But we have a candidate this year that I think is going to shock everybody. I truly believe that he is the upset of the entire election. I think Mr. Gonzalez takes it in a landslide. I'm not going to say we're not going to keep on doing what we're doing, but I think if he keeps up what he's doing and the amount of support and the people coming outside their houses just to see him when he's down on Willow Street, he's going to have an event down in Willow Street. I mean, these are the type of things that I'm excited about in Area 1 because, again, so little amount of people vote. 917, I believe it was, last election. I mean, you get a strong candidate in there that connects with the people, and they could do amazing things.
Absolutely, and the people, when I canvass, places I go to, like Sam's Way, Nutmeg Drive off of Chamberlain Highway,
Yep.
They said, nobody ever comes here. I'm here. I want to let you know that I'm running.
Listen, you only lost by what, 161 last time?
137.
137 at large.
And I just find myself, again, I got a lot of people. My signs are on Democrat lawns.
That's good.
And I really appreciate the fact that, the people, I think we're going to see a better turnout in voting this year as opposed to many years.
I tell you, one thing I'm worried about is the whole mailing voting. The Democrats sent out their mass mailing out. And listen, you know what? If that's where they're spending their money, good luck. Good luck. Because I tell you what, the people are coming out. People are going to come out for Republicans this year. And I think people are coming out for you because, again, those Democrats that have your lawn signs on are the informed Democrats. Those are ones that look at the city and say, wait a minute, what the hell are we doing? Yeah, no, I don't like this attacking the police. No, I don't like this racial dividing you're trying to do. They don't believe in this stuff. And these are the ones that are going to be sitting there and voting for you because they're sitting there looking at, all right, well, Dan's not like that. And Dan comes to just about every meeting that there possibly is. And again, there is no more well-informed person in the city probably than you because you attend every single meeting. So, and you do it for nothing. You do it for free.
And I love
which, sometimes I wonder maybe your mental state is a little off with how much you enjoy going to these things.
Especially the mayor said to me, he says, where the hell did you get that information?
Yeah.
It's not privilege. You can just go out there and look.
Yeah, and the great thing I love about you, Dan, is that when you're not given the answer or you're told something, you go one step farther and dig it out. And a library is a prime example of that. Go ahead, tell them what they were telling you nothing, then you went back and looked at the library and said, wait a minute, so he did make a draft or an actual proposal for the library.
Correct.
He's trying to sneak in $101.9 million for the HVAC system so that it doesn't go over to $10 million. That requires 2/3 of vote from council. So they're trying to sneak more money in. For those of you who don't know, the council voted $7.2 million for the library. That's a complete rehaul of it without the expansion. But now, of course, Democrats have enough control now. They're like, oh, well, we're just going to add this and add that. And we're not going to put it over that $10 million because then we have to get 2/3, which we don't have. And it's just amazing that, they try, again, they tried to put it, no, look over here, and then we're going to slide it in over here. And you don't let that happen. And I give you kudos for that.
But the last part was that, the costs because of COVID. Wait a minute. A lot of stuff came down. But the last figure I found was $9.1 million.
Yeah. Now
they dropped it down to $8.4 million. I think our first figure was something like $7.4 million.
I'm sorry, it should be at 7.4 million, what was appropriated by the council.
Correct.
That's what it should be. There shouldn't be any more. Shouldn't be any more. And like I said, I have these conversations with people from the library, especially my good friend Joan Eggerly, who I love her dearly. She is like one of the sweetest ladies in the entire world. But when it comes to the library, me and her just go to war. And it's because, listen, I did it during the city council meeting. They were talking about, we need all this space, we need this, we need that. I walked over, a simple walk over during the city council meeting, snapped a couple pictures because half the place is friggin' empty with books, but yet we spend $200,000 a year buying books. and it's empty. So of course I walked back. I had my 3 minutes to talk since that's all I get. And I showed them the pictures. I was like, no, this place is empty. What are we talking about here? A complete complete overhaul. I can see the library. My kids love it. Aaron loves it. But again, a complete overhaul. I understand. I get it. An expansion.
I know where they could have saved a ton of money. Talking about costs overrun. My wife lost her job because of COVID. A lot of other people lost their jobs over COVID. Why couldn't they have laid off that fat cat payroll in the library?
Listen, well, I'll give you this. I will say this on behalf of the library. Their payroll, I've always talked about their payroll when it was like $3.2 million for the library to run the library. It's not like that anymore. A lot of the people have retired, and a lot of the new people that came in, I will give the library this bone. You have gotten costs for labor under control over at the library. So I will give that little piece. And Joan will probably thank me for this later on, but I will give you that. But the new director that they have over there, I don't understand half of what he's doing, and I don't think the board does either. Because I know they're not under good terms because of a lot of the things that he's done that they don't agree with. But again, this is what I try not to make it this way. I'm not even going to go there because that's for another day. But again, I will give them kudos for getting the payroll under control. But to sit there and try to sneak in this money, and listen, what the expansion is, for those who don't know, the only thing the expansion is a big gathering room and a cafe. What the hell do we need a cafe at the library for? I got an idea. Let's grow some small businesses outside the library. Why don't we do that? Let's put a library. Let's take that building that they want to put next door, the expansion, knock down that house that they bought, and let's put a cafe there with a privately owned cafe.
Let somebody make some money.
Sure. Small business.
Now we tax them.
Sure. There you go. I mean, come on. It's just common sense. But again, they love these grand ideas. And they sit there and sometimes it just blows my mind. It's like they love to spend money. Because, just think of what it's going to cost to heat it, air condition it, repair it. It's just, does it really make sense?
I really give kudos to the Friends of the Library. They have raised $131,000.
Yes, I have given to the Friends of Library. So,
but their hands got tied again because of the naming committee.
Oh, yes.
I thought that was the most asinine thing. They have that right to name a room if they want to do. Somebody donates it, guess what?
I tell you, if they put that naming committee in, I'm going to go for it. Come on, think about it. The Joe Vollano room.
There you go.
I would absolutely love that.
JV.
Yeah, the JV room.
It's it.
Oh, man. It would just, the smile on my face that would happen. The JV room. Oh, no, they trust me, they nix that right away. They'd be like, nope, can't have that. I'd rather knock down the building. They'll demolish it.
Yeah.
You want to find a way to demolish it? Name it the Joe Vollano room. They'll personally come down and just start knocking it down. But listen, you're an amazing candidate. You're running at large along with Ray Olette, who just walked in, by the way, and who's probably going to be joining us in a couple of minutes. So, but Dan, I give you kudos, man. You are the real deal. Again, anyone who doesn't know Dan Zabrowski, you need to look him up. I think you're on Facebook, right?
Yes.
So he's on Facebook. Go look up his page. He is, again, the most knowledgeable person probably in the city of Meriden. And he does more work than the counselors themselves. So I give you praise for that. I think maybe a little crazy.
Sometimes, I go off on a tangent, but again, I'm here for people.
It's passion.
And my whole thing is, I'm a taxpayer too. So you're hurting my pocket as well as everybody else. And again, people want to call me. Telephone number is 203-634-1818. Or if you don't want to call, I have a email address, dzaborowski@snet.net. Let me know what's going on. I appreciate anybody.
And obviously that just wrote up on the screen there, so you should have saw it. So hopefully you did. If not, we'll throw it in the comments later on. But Dan, as always, it's always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
And best of luck on the upcoming election. We're only a week away, people. Not even, yeah, what, a week and a half. So we're only 10 days away.
I'll be out there pounding that pavement, so I'll be coming seeing you. And I threatened Joey Carabetta. I says, I will be on Canyon Drive. And I did so at Canyon Drive.
Did you go visit?
No, they weren't home.
They weren't home?
They knew I was coming. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it.
Anytime. Thanks, Dan. Guys, it is just completely, it is amazing to me. I mean, again, you're listening to what is going on in the city. And again, you're listening. If you watched any of these debates, when you listen to Democrats talk, like I said, it's like living in a parallel universe. It's just, I just don't see where they're coming from. So I think that Ray's going to be coming joining us in a couple of minutes here as he walks on over. So, again, you know, CRB is going to be the big issue. Like I said, if CRB goes through, we're going to see 24, about 20 to 30 veteran officers, high-ranking officers, those that are teaching our new officers the way of the road and the way of things, how should be done, are going to be gone. And then what are you going to have? Then you might have bigger problems. So he's telling me he can't hear me.
Imagine that. Nobody can hear Joe.
I can hear you.
I don't need him.
You don't need, yeah, we're right here. But so joining us now is Mr. Ray Arlett. Again, a 25-year-old, he wishes he was 25 years old.
Yeah.
25-year veteran of the Meriden Police Department. Again, you know, I like how you put it in your speech that you like patrol.
I do.
You know, you don't want to be off the streets. You like being out there with the people. Again, now Ray Arlett is also currently on the Board of Education. And again, obviously a police officer. But I think CRB is the biggest issue facing this city right now because if it passes, we see a mass exit from our police department.
100%. The CRB actually was a pretty hot topic about most of the questions were geared towards it.
Yeah.
And it was ironic how pretty much everybody wanted to jump on that wagon. And I don't know why. And that's why I ended my conclusion with, you know, if you support the police, show it. Stop talking about it. Show it.
Well, they do show it. Bruce said it perfectly.
Well,
they're buying you off.
Well,
They're taking care of your contract. Sure. You should be happy. You know, we got your back, guys. But then they're gonna stab you in your back the first chance they get.
Well, they could have also signed on, said no, we don't want it, but then go to arbitration. We don't have a problem with that. Didn't have a problem with it. Go to arbitration. Let the state run rampant. Let them decide.
Well, they needed to show, again, that they have some kind of unity with the police department.
But, you know, the monetary raises that we're getting are equivalent to everybody across the board. Don't praise that we signed your contract when the contract was good, but it wasn't great. I mean, don't forget, through COVID, we worked 12-hour shifts. Yeah. We walked into homes that didn't, you know, there was no COVID. We had to work, period. Public safety didn't stop because COVID came. We still had to maintain public safety here.
Your job, if they take everything that they talk about, your job became even more dangerous.
Correct. And, you know, they're saying, well, they get paid for it and get listen, I get it. I have no problem with it. That was never brought up in negotiations with contracts. The fact is that don't think that you rewarded us with pretty much a basic contract. That was good, but it wasn't great.
But it allows them a talking point.
But and we didn't ask for astronomical things.
Yeah.
It was always based on the city's interest and what was fair.
Yeah, like I said, it was something they could knock off and say, hey, look at what we did for the police department. That's all it was. It was a checkbox.
Listen, I came down here only because I wanted to bring something up that I really wish I had more time on. It's like, you know, they asked for transparency on the CRB. They want transparency. There's a question that needs to be asked. So let's just say we have a CRB. Let's just say we have it. And they look at a certain case and they say, yeah, there was something we don't like here. What do we do?
They do nothing.
Who does what?
They have no power.
But so they bring it back to the chief who
Yeah.
already approved the findings. So where does it go?
That's why this whole thing is just again, it's a sham. And here's where it goes. Because listen, there's an ultimate goal to all this for them. And that is Hartford.
Correct.
Right now, they're taking the New Haven version,
Yeah.
which is not investigative.
Yeah.
It's just, we're going to listen.
Yeah.
And of course, again, it's supposed to be non-political. I look at New Haven's, and Malik Jones's mother's running it at $100,000 she gets for a paycheck. And that story we could go into for hours, since I lived in East Haven at that time when it happened.
Sure.
But to have her, who is the biggest anti-police person
Correct.
in the frickin' that I know of,
And they have a budget of what, $50,000?
$100,000.
$100,000.
Yes. So
That comes at a price. The CRB comes at a price.
So the citizens of Meriden, again, which is why the CRB is such a hot topic,
Right.
they need to be careful
Sure.
because that's not the end game.
Yep.
Listen, the whole thing, and I said this before, and which is why I went after Republicans when this whole racism is a public health crisis, because they're using that now
Sure.
to sit there and say, no, see, we do have a problem. We voted on it.
Yeah.
So now we have to do something about it.
Right.
And the CRB is the first step in that, which is why they won't say, all right, well, we're not going to commit any funds to it other than $6,500. But you know what's going to happen.
Of course.
The first time a use of force abuse charge comes up, they don't agree with it. They're going to be like, well, we can't do anything. Our hands are tied. And this city council, as far left as they're going, they're going to be like, well, we need to change that.
Yeah. So, and if there's a findings of neglect, let's just say there is, and you open up lawsuits, who pays that? The taxpayers.
The taxpayers.
So, and I hate to say this, but Ernestine kind of said it best, and I fed off of that. I'm like, she said, no, the citizens want this. Okay, then let's put it on the table and vote.
But see, here's the thing: the citizens don't want this, and I
Correct.
think, and two surveys,
Yeah.
one from the committee themselves,
Right.
and the other from a third-party nonprofit, both showed that the city residents love our police department and think
Correct.
they're doing a tremendous job.
Correct.
And if anything, they have a bigger problem with City Hall than they have with the police department. So I think the City Hall needs to clean up their own house first before they go going down to 55 Main Street and think that they're gonna do something.
Yeah, 50 West Main.
50
It's
West
just,
Main.
Yeah, it's just, and again, nobody's taken up my offer on the ride along. They're staying away from it. But they'll sit on the steps or stand on the steps and take pictures and all be heroes. We support the police. Show me. Don't just approve a traditional contract that that we have to go through every 3 years anyways. It's just a basic contract so don't use that as a stepping stone for you to justify that, oh, we support the police. Then don't support it. Take it to arbitration. Not a problem. It's not a big deal. Take it.
Right.
It costs the city quite a bit of money. The piece that I actually one of the pieces that I really wanted to come down here and say, it's like, so somebody said, oh, we want transparency. I think Chad said transparency. Bruce said transparency.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, you want transparency? You have body cameras. They didn't want transparency when it came to Guy Scave's freaking lawsuit, though, did they?
Absolutely. They want that to go
no
away.
transparency with that.
They
They want transparency with the police department that has body cameras anyways.
Yeah. I want to be a fly. I wanted to be a fly in that room when that stuff was talked about.
Who thinks this is normal?
Listen, uninformed people, they're voting block.
Crazy.
They're voting block.
You want transparency? We'll open it up, go across the board. Open up the Guy Scave.
I tell you what, and I said that during the comments, because I always like commenting when I see liberals jumping on. And they all said the same thing. It's like, oh, well, transparency. I was like, do you know what? Then why not just open it for? I want a CRB for every department in the city.
Open it up.
Why are we just picking on the police department for
100%.
it? I want one across the board.
Sure.
What's good for one is good for all.
Absolutely.
So, because last time I checked, we elect individuals to sit there and oversee these things for us. But again, this is what Democrat leadership is. Pass the buck on to somebody else.
Right.
So that they're not held responsible and they don't have to take accountability for it.
Right.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah. And we're not a national, why take on the national problems like Seattle or Minnesota? Listen, we're not them. We're just a small little Meriden town that takes care of each other and does well, and we look out for each other. And we're not a big town, but we do.
They
do
want to
well
be them.
here. They want to become a national nightmare. I don't know what it is.
I think it's higher aspirations for political government. That it has to be. There's no other reason for it. Why would Sonia Jelks want to tackle this when there's no issue here?
Yeah.
This is, I mean, ever since she became again, I think she's a curse, but she's also the greatest thing to happen to Meriden, because she's really showing how far left they have gone and how off the edge that they have gone. And again, I always say, when they're about to jump off the cliff, don't give them a lifeline. Let them go. Don't join them. Don't join them. Let them go. Because I think the citizens are seeing it.
Yeah.
And I think that surveys, if anything, I take comfort in, is those surveys did prove that, no, our police department's not the issue.
7 months of meetings with all the data, like Dan Bernay said the best. All the data he showed, he read, and then 7 months of weekly meetings. Public safety don't even meet that much.
Yeah.
Not even close.
No.
So what's the true agenda?
And I think they're getting frustrated. And I love how they all put it in the articles that we have to have more conversation with the chief. It's like, wait a minute, the chief already told you no.
Yeah.
I was like, how many? Again, so I think, what does that mean? Does that mean, hey, chief, really, this is what it means to me. Chief, you're on friggin' notice. After this election is over, if we're still in power, you get on board and you play ball, or you will be guys scaped on out of here. Yeah. That's what's going to happen.
I hope not.
I hope not.
He's a great guy. He's well liked. He's, as Dan said, he has the accolades. He's recognized. And guys have rejuvenated their careers under him. It really has. He's built a good command staff. I don't know what else to say. I mean, how much more do you want? You know?
They want what they want. And you have to get on board with that.
Yeah.
You have, right? So you have to get on board with that. If you're not, then like I said, come out this way. I stress it so much, is that public safety should be the center of everybody's vote. If you vote on one thing and one thing alone, public safety needs to be it. We need to protect the police department, and this is only a stepping stone to what they ultimately want, which is Hartford's investigative CRB, which means that untrained civilians are literally going to have the right to investigate police officers for whatever reason they want. And if they don't like it, they could prosecute.
Yeah, because the CRB says so. Where does the next step? But as Dan said, you taking it, you don't like what happened to you, take it to the courts.
Yeah.
Take it to the courts. That's what happened with the last officer. I won't give names, but we all know who he is. But somebody opened up that investigation, and it happened, and he paid that price.
Correct.
Period. That was 4 or 5 years ago.
Yep.
It's disheartening because we have a lot of great, young, talented men and women here that want to do good. But if you keep throwing negative responses to these guys are tired. They're like, why do I want to even? It's not even like they want to work in Meriden. It's like, why do we want to work as a police officer?
Right.
You're losing good, talented officers that are getting taken away. You better start looking in the mirror and say, wait a minute, my words have consequences, and they do. So,
but are the people listening to them?
I don't.
And that is, again, that's always the scariest part. Are people really paying attention? Yeah. And this year, I say it, I'm worried. If people aren't paying attention to it and people are buying the bullshit that they're trying to sell, I gotta get out of here. I mean, what does that tell me? I mean, when they say that, again, when the majority leader of the council says we have a racism problem in the city, it blows my mind because it's just not happening. There's no stats to prove it. When they say there's a use of force abuse going on in the city, and there's no evidence to support that, it's like, where do you come off saying this? Yeah. But these are the people that are literally running our city, and it's only going to get worse.
And if we lose the election or the control of the Board of Education,
Critical race theory, here we come.
It's Pandora's box. Get ready.
And
And
there's,
I don't want to talk negative about Meriden. What the future holds. I want to stay positive. We're going to stay positive. We're going to keep fighting the fight, and we're just going to try to.
I understand.
move forward.
I understand. We don't want to talk about the negatives, but that is the reality. You know, the reality is, if we lose this election, I know people say this all the time, but if we lose this election, things drastically change.
Yes.
Not for the better.
Yes.
What you're going to have is cops leaving. You're going to have younger cops taking over. You're going to have more hours. You're never going to be able to fill 24 positions of senior. You're never going to be able to do it.
And it also affects the fire. Everybody thinks police, but, you know, it affects the fire department also. We're going to lose firemen also, not just police.
Explain.
Oh, if we're talking about, you know, opening up the contracts and taking away pensions and so forth, so on, they're under the same contract as police are. You're going to open that pension.
You guys
up.
share a contract?
Yeah, we have. Well, we don't share.
Or
a
for
contract,
pension?
But they have theirs, we have ours, but we have the same pretty much guidelines.
Okay.
So if the city opens up the pension contract and says, yeah, we're done, you know, we're getting rid of the pension, yada yada yada, we have the fire department also that's going to lose a lot of guys.
Yeah.
I won't give names, but I'm telling you, I sit in that locker room every day or in roll call, and we talk it all the time. It's like, throw my hands up.
People, it's scary.
Sure,
I mean, it's
sure
scary
is.
talking, you know, just listening to this.
Yeah.
But again, this is the reality we live in. And I think these are the things that we need to tackle, and again, need to be forefront in the discussions when you're running and when you're voting for an individual.
Yep.
And I just don't see how anyone who believes that public safety is a priority could vote for the other side. I just don't.
And maybe I see things differently, but I think public safety is the leading piece that really saves. I don't want to say saves Meriden, but if residents feel safe, then they feel safe. Businesses say, "Hey, Meriden doesn't have a crime problem. Why are we going to come here?" You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
It's the foundation for everything that is
great
built
word.
on.
It's the foundation. I believe if public safety is good, but you know we're getting these the bank robberies and the crime and the assaults and stuff like that. Listen, it's not as bad, guys. Like we go out there, we try hard to benefit. I mean, not benefit. We try hard to work towards that. But man, we need support. We need. Not just stand on our steps and say, we support you. Okay.
Yeah, I think crime is definitely an issue. I mean, we talk about bank robberies. We've had enough bank robberies this year, I think, than we've had in a long time. And it's becoming pretty regular now. I think, once a month now? I mean, this is the third one. The credit union, Stop and Shop People's Bank, and now Liberty Bank.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like, but again, even if these people are caught, just as long as you didn't use a gun, you could be back on the street in a couple of weeks.
Correct.
So to do it all over again. And again, desperate times call for desperate measures. You look at what's going on in the country as a whole with inflation and everything else, people are getting desperate. And you know what? They know Meriden is laxing up on the police department. I know, tightening up on the police department, not allowing you to do things that you normally would do.
And taxpayers are getting tired.
And I mean, again, when they're ripping out ATMs in a convenience store on East Main Street, that's ballsy. That's when you don't give a what about what's good about the consequences.
I know.
It's crazy to me. But again,
It's crazy.
you guys do an amazing job, and I hope that the police department understands that a majority of the citizens here in the Meriden thank you guys for you and every men and women of law enforcement and our dispatch center and our fire department for the things that you guys do.
And during the debate, I wish the dispatch center would have come up because I would have needed more than a minute, like I had asked about the CRB. We got to hold people accountable. Who created this mess? And they said, "Oh, we're fixing it."
No.
That started 2 years ago.
The same problem's still there.
And guess what? It's still there.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's held accountable.
No one.
Why is that?
Well,
It's baffled. It baffles me that it's like nobody wants to take responsibility and say, hey, I screwed up. I allowed this to happen too long. My bad. We're going to make it right.
But Ray, they have meetings every week.
They gave her a raise.
They have meetings every week.
Nobody talked about that, huh?
No, this is the mayor. The mayor said, don't worry about it. They have a meeting.
The director of dispatch got a raise.
Yes.
But Bruce Fontanella says, oh, we approved their contract.
Yeah.
Talk about the dispatcher who's making her people work 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
Talk about that. No. But
Like I said, they have meetings every week. Don't worry, it's under control. They have a meeting every week to discuss what's going on in the dispatch center. So rest your little head on your pillow at night
if it's
and
public
just know
record,
everything's okay.
Show us the minutes.
Yeah. That one's probably off the record. I'm thinking that's a personnel issue that they have to talk about.
So, and you know, I mean, this is just me being me. I'm not here to try to, say, hey, vote for me. This is stuff that I'm passionate about. This is stuff that I've been here for 54 years that I've never left. And people are like, why don't you leave Meriden? You're all, I like this town. But, man, it's getting harder and harder.
I tell you, I am a transplant here. Obviously, I grew up in East Haven, and then I moved up here 06, 07, one of those years. And listen, I was working up here, and I always heard the same thing. Meriden's a bad place to go live, da-da-da-da. And then I looked at the stats. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Meriden's not that bad. And then we moved to Meriden over on Woodley Court at first, and it was so quiet. And I'm like, what crime are these people talking about? What all this noise and everything? It's like, this is a great place. And I tell you what, I have grown to absolutely love this city. But as you said, more and more, it gets harder and harder for me to sit there and really say, you know what, Joe, you can't leave here if you want. And I think it's time that you might have to consider doing that. The problem is there's a lot of people that can't leave. And that's probably the thing that bothers me the most is that, it's not for myself. I feel bad for the people who can't leave, that want to leave but can't. And they're stuck with what's going on. And they could be stuck with a lot worse if Democrats keep control of the council this year. Yeah. So, I may be privileged enough that I could get up and go somewhere else, but there's a lot of people that can't, and those are the people I care about. So I'm not ready to stop the fight. So I don't think anyone should.
I'm not ready yet either. I'm not ready yet. I like I said, my family originated, they came here from another country, and they built their roots here, and they built family and a legacy, and I'm not ready to let that go. I think there's a little more fight in me. This election will definitely give me the avenue to do good things, hopefully. But I got to win. People got to vote. Yeah.
Again, and it is so important to make sure you go out there and vote on November 2nd, and make sure you're voting for people that listen, you're going to hear a lot of people say that, we care about the city, and there's certain people that actually have done it for 25 years straight in the streets of Meriden, and that is you, Mr. Ray Arlett. And I can't thank you enough for all the hard work you do and all the hard work the men and women of this great police department do. And I just hope that you guys understand how much we love you guys and that we're here for you guys. So this fight is far from over. We have 10 days to go. We need to make sure that we are, again, our circle of influence. We need to be getting out there to the people and letting them know what the hell is going on and why it's so important to make sure they get out and vote for the Republican We the People ticket. So, Ray, thank you as always for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
This is probably the fastest hour that I felt like has gone by since it's almost 9 o'clock. And again, I appreciate you guys staying on since it's almost 9 o'clock. It's almost past my bedtime. I'm usually fast asleep come 9:30. Me having to get up at 4 in the morning. But listen, we have a great slate of candidates. I know Elaine is here somewhere, but I know she is busy doing other things right now. So we'll get her for another day. But she had a great debate against the mayor, and I think she made a lot of great points, which we'll get into on Sunday since we are running out of time. But guys, it's so important. It really is. This is desperate. I'm pleading with you to make sure you get out there and do what you can to make sure these candidates on the Republican ticket get elected. It is so important. We need people like Ray. We need people like Dan. We need people like Noberto. We need people like Joey Carabetta back on the council. We need Dan Bernay to be majority leader instead of minority leader. And we need Bob Williams back. And, of course, we need Elaine Cariotti to be the mayor. And it'd be great. We'll have the first female, again, and that's just a cherry on top, the first female mayor. So I just think it's a great, I wish I could debate the Democrats. People ask me, do I miss it? Because I've run in how many elections now in the city of Meriden? And people sit there and go, doesn't losing bother you? It's like, no, because listen, you live in a Democratic city. When you come that close, it invigorates you and it says, all right, well, maybe people are waking up and you just have to go a step further. And I wish this year I could debate any Democrat because I would absolutely have a blast with it. I'd probably get myself in trouble, but I'd have a blast nonetheless. So, but I'm glad that we could sit here and do this show because then nobody could yell at me. Because even if they do yell at me, it doesn't really matter. So I am the owner of my own destiny. But as always, guys, I love you guys. Keep the faith. We're only what? We're only 10 days away. Do not let up. Do not let up. This is when we have to double down. We have to try 3, 4, 5 times harder. Listen, Democrats aren't just going to go away and give us power. We need to yank it away from them, which means we have to get out there, knock on doors, go meet the people, shake hands, and tell people why it's so desperately needed that we need a Republican majority here in the city of Meriden. A lot of things are dependent on that. So, as always, I love you guys. Stay well. Get out there. Spread your influence. I say that a lot. Your circle of influence. I say it all the time. It's so important. Get out there. Make sure people are voting. If they need rides to the polls, let me know. We'll make sure we get them rides. If you want to help out on campaign on election day, make sure you go down to the Republican headquarters down at 847 Hanover Road. Am I correct? I am correct. Go over there, meet everybody, and sign up to work some hours. It's important. We all need to do it. I mean, I know I'll be out there all of Election Day. Listen, Election Day is my Super Bowl. I absolutely love it. It is my favorite day of the year because it is the most American thing you could ever do is go out there and vote. And that is a privilege that I can't believe really 70% of the people don't use. This is what makes America so fantastic is that we have the right to vote our representatives in. And when we feel like things aren't going the right way, it is our duty to go and vote them out and vote in people that we believe will do a better job. And I cannot stress that any more than this election. Make sure you're out there voting, go in and vote these Republicans in. So we have another show on Sunday. Again, we'll have some more candidates on. Maybe we'll have the Board of Ed members on since they have a debate tomorrow. And we'll see about getting Elaine back on. But until then, God bless you. God bless this great city of ours. And as always, God bless America. I love you guys, and I will see you all on Sunday.
And the million faces formed together, made for elevation. And the soldier won't surrender faith. It's like a fire that never bursts to embers. The voice of the unheard.